The Russia-Ukraine conflict is often discussed in terms of politics and military strategy. But did you know that it has also had some surprising and unexpected consequences? Get ready, as we are going to explore the unusual consequences of the Russia-Ukraine conflict you didn't think about. I can guarantee you didn't think about at least 3 of these consequences. Consequence number 1. It has created a great deal of geopolitical turbulence and a host of problems in a number of Central Asian economies. The people of Central Asia have a major worry about the escalation of prices for essential items such as food, clothing, and gas. A survey showed that 18.6% and 24.8% of respondents from Uzbekistan and Kyrgyzstan believe that the war will result in a hike in the prices of basic necessities. People's views on the rise in prices are in line with the current situation. The start of the conflict has led to an increase in the cost of living in the area due to inflation. The European Bank for Reconstruction and Development reports that the regional inflation rate still stands at a high 16%. The household consumption in Central Asia is largely made up of energy and food. The ban imposed by the Kremlin on grain exports to members of the Eurasian Economic Union has caused a surge in agricultural product prices. The high prices of gas also affect households and exacerbate living costs, particularly in Uzbekistan and Turkmenistan, where gas is a significant component of their energy mix, and the high prices have a direct impact on people's standard of living. The arrival of a large number of Russians in Kazakhstan and Tajikistan has brought about mixed consequences for the local people. On one hand, Russians have a significantly higher income compared to the locals and can drive economic growth. On the other hand, their presence may lead to inflation and a further hike in the prices of food, real estate, and rent, which would have a negative impact on the locals. Seasonal migration to Russia provides crucial support to Central Asian households due to higher incomes. Russia is the preferred destination for labor migration, with 40% of Uzbekistan respondents and 56.6% of Kyrgyzstan respondents naming it as the most appealing country according to surveys. Remittances contribute greatly to the economies of Kyrgyzstan and Tajikistan, accounting for 31.3% of Kyrgyzstan's GDP. Uzbekistan, Kyrgyzstan, and Tajikistan continue to receive remittances from Russia, with a high volume of remittances sent to Uzbekistan in H1 2022. Reaching $6.5 billion, a twofold increase from the same period the previous year. However, the ongoing conflict in Ukraine and sanctions against Russia raise uncertainties and make predictions challenging, potentially posing unexpected risks for the Central Asian economies. The sanctions led to a decline in the business environment and instability for labor migrants, disrupting the flow of remittances. The World Bank estimated that the flow of remittances is likely to drop by 33% in Kyrgyzstan, 21% in Uzbekistan, and 22% in Tajikistan. Consequence number 2, shortage of fresh fish. The Russia-Ukraine conflict has significantly impacted the seafood sector in the EU. The high costs of energy and raw materials have raised the operating expenses for fishermen, aquaculture farmers, and fish processing companies. The industry is already grappling with rising energy costs, and the situation has only been compounded by the ongoing war. Energy prices, particularly marine gas oil, have reached levels that are more than double what they were in early 2021, with prices in many EU countries exceeding $1 per liter. This is proving to be a significant challenge for fishermen, aquaculture farmers, and fish processing companies, many of whom are struggling to remain profitable. Black Sea fisheries have also been directly impacted by the conflict, with Romanian vessels, for example, advised to stay away from the conflict zone. In addition to energy costs, aquaculture and fish processing companies are facing more challenges, including high logistics costs and trade disruption. Although import bans do not cover seafood from Russia, trade flows have been severely impacted, particularly for EU fish processing companies that rely heavily on supplies of white fish from the region. The situation also raises concerns about food security, as EU countries will need to find alternative sources of fish and seafood. Consequence number 3, drop in sales in the garment industry. The garment industry has been impacted by the ongoing military conflict between Russia and Ukraine, just like many other industries. As a major apparel consumption market, Russia saw apparel retail sales of over $28 billion in 2021. Prominent fashion brands such as H&M, Zara, Uniqlo, Adidas, Hugo Boss, Nike, and the fast-growing retailer Shein are among the top players with substantial market shares in Russia's apparel retail industry. The Russian apparel market took a hit 1 month prior to the war, with sales by volume dropping to $31.76 billion. The ongoing conflict between Russia and Ukraine was predicted to further decrease the Russian apparel market by $18.8 billion in 2022, and spending is expected to remain below pre-conflict projections until 2025. The fashion industry is facing increased price pressures due to the Russia-Ukraine conflict. The immediate impact of the heightened tensions resulted in a significant rise of the global oil price. This means that oil-derived textile fibers such as polyester are experiencing significant price hikes as man-made fibers become more expensive. Moreover, the extensive uncertainty and risk posed by the conflict to the global economy and geopolitics could be a more pressing concern. The instability in the financial market and the slowdown of the world economy may complicate the post-COVID recovery. Additionally, Turkey, being a neighboring country of Ukraine and a leading supplier of apparel to the EU market, may face difficulties if its customers in Ukraine and Russia cancel orders. Consequence number 4. The rise of cyber warfare. The Russian-Ukraine conflict has seen a marked rise in cyber attacks, making it one of the most concerning and complex security challenges facing the world today. This conflict, which began in 2014 with the Russian annexation of Crimea, has now evolved into a multi-front war that encompasses not just the physical battlefields, but also the digital realm. As a result, the impact of this conflict has been felt across the globe, with critical infrastructures and sensitive data at a risk of being targeted by cyber criminals. One of the main motivations behind the cyber attacks in this conflict is financial gain. Ransomware groups such as Lockbit, Kuming Project, and Conti storm and organizations in Ukraine to extract ransoms and steal personal data, with the hackers successfully gaining access to the country's electrical grid, water supply, and military command and control systems, leading to widespread blackouts, disruptions to the delivery of clean drinking water, and rapid advances by Russian troops on the ground. The rise of cyber attacks in this conflict has also led to serious concerns about the growing threat of state-sponsored hacking. Conti, for example, announced its full support for the Russian government. Meanwhile, the Stormus ransomware gang declared its support for Russian government and its intention to target Ukrainian government institutions. These statements of support highlight the close relationship between cybercriminals and state actors. Consequence number 5. Countries' attempts to promote democracy may compromise a nation's security. The efforts to build democracy and modernize states in the post-Soviet space could pose a risk to national security. The ongoing invasion of Ukraine and the ongoing occupation of Georgia by Russian troops, both of which were trying to democratize and modernize, serve as a warning to other former Soviet republics. By pursuing democratization and modernization, these countries are breaking away from Russia's sphere of influence. If the leadership in Moscow is not held accountable for its military actions, countries like Moldova, Belarus, and Armenia may lose motivation to democratize and modernize. In this scenario, the idea of resurrecting the Soviet Union may not seem so far-fetched. So what do you think? Have you been affected by the Russia-Ukraine conflict in any unusual ways? Let us know in the comments and share your thoughts with us. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more interesting content like this. We'll be bringing you new and exciting videos every week, so make sure to hit that subscribe button to stay up to date with our content.